get this show on the road. We had a bye week with IRE, so it's been a couple weeks. But for everybody joining us, this is Roofer2Roofer. We're here to answer your questions about the roofing business. So you got Scott here, owner of Rainstoppers Roofing and Small Town Roofer, and then myself, CEO of ProLine. And so we got a lot of overlap, but more of the expertise on the actual roofing business side, and then me on the tech side, and a little bit on the marketing side as well. And so we're here to answer your questions. And so we have some of our own questions that we can go through, but we also love hearing from you guys as well. So if you guys have any questions that you'd like us to answer, please put those in the Q&A at the bottom of Zoom. Otherwise, we're just going to go through what we have. All right, I'm going to pull up our list. We'll jump right in. We'll start with a product question. Do you think, Scott, that it is better to sell corrugated or standing seam metal roofing?
You're going to sell more corrugated up in the Northeast, like where we're at, unfortunately, and the Southeast. I mean, you see a ton of corrugated metal, like in Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, but standing seems a better roof. Like, in my opinion, I believe it to be the number one residential roofing material. Like, I don't think there's anything better. You can do tile or slate or whatever. I still like standing seam. I live in a Marietta, Ohio. It's the oldest town, first settlement in Ohio. So it's like literally super old place. And the amount of barns or old homes that we have taken standing seam off of, that's literally the original roof from 100 and I don't know, forever ago, right? Like, and it just started leaking 2 years ago or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty hard to beat. Literally the only way it can leak if it's installed properly is for it to get a hole poked in it or rusted through it. So this is not like you know, I mean, you'd have to have some crazy wind to rip off standing seam. And then at that point, it's an insurance claim. It's serious to get that tore off. But with corrugated, you got exposed fasteners. Fasteners are going to cause leaks. It's not if, but when it's going to happen. So, yeah, that's it's a no-brainer. Standing seam for sure. Mind you, you're going to pay about 3 times the bill for it. So the price is definitely going to affect that. But you know, if it's your forever home, it might definitely be something to consider because at the end, the cost may make sense. It may be justified. Um, hey, I actually forgot. I wanted to mention something before we got started, that I think is worth sharing with anybody wanting to hear about manufacturer warranties. I've noticed a lot of stuff on Facebook lately going around about, the pros and cons of manufacturer warranties and how, it's maybe not necessary or maybe it's more of a gimmick. I am a GAF Master Elite contractor, and we sell some Gold Pledge roof systems. That's lifetime on the shingles, 25 years on workmanship, up to 30 years now with some additional factors. But regardless, I wanted to share this story. It had just happened today. We got a call last week. A contractor that is I the I'm not sure if they're still a master league because they might have got kicked out of the program for this situation. But a local contractor put a roof on years ago. It was a gold pledge roof, full warranted roof. It leaked. They went back 3 different efforts to fix it on their own, like they should have, right? They couldn't fix it. They couldn't find the leak. They couldn't do anything about it. GAF, the homeowner reached out to GAF about his warranty that he, had and wanted to file a complaint. So he filed it. GAF reached out to us personally, asked us to go out there, meet with this customer, inspect a roof, and give a quote based on our evaluation of what it would take to fix this roof. We looked at it. Uh, what we decided was because kind of what the previous contractor did was really just not good. I'll just say that they didn't do the homeowner right with the repairs that they made. So we decided that it needed a full replacement on the entire slope that was having issues. GAF just sent us an approval email today for $8,800 for a warranty claim that they are going to pay us because that customer paid an additional on that roof. It's not a real big roof. That customer probably paid at the time maybe an additional $1,000 for the warranty. And that roof is going to be completely bought and paid for by GAF through their Gold Pledge roof warranty. So, um, I know a lot, and I don't push it hard on people because I know a lot of people don't like the warranty systems and stuff like that. But know that I can't speak for all manufacturers, and I'm not paid by GAF. They don't do anything special for me or fancy for me. But I will say this is the fourth time that I have went and done a warranty job bought and paid for by GAF that was a gold pledge roof system, and they've never even questioned their price. So, um, anyway, just wanted to kind of share that. I think if people are looking at manufacturers and you're looking to get into a program, I would highly consider GAF. They're taking care of the people that they say they will.
It's good. That's a good take.
Yeah.
Is that something people are talking about on? You said they're talking about online about
I
people
keep
not.
the last week or so, I've just seen on and on Facebook about material, and I'm not sure. It might have even been Dimitri posted something, and not that it was negative on his behalf. It was more, I think it was Dimitri. It might have been the comments section that I was reading that there was just a lot of negative feedback, like, oh, that's bullshit. That's you don't need those. You don't. Nobody's standing behind a roof for 25 years. Blah blah blah. Whatever. Like I'm here to tell you, they are. At least one of them is. And I've got the proof. They're writing checks to us to go fix them. The one we did, there was a company in one of our service areas that went out of business, and that's why we've done the other handful of warranty claims that we've done because the company's out of business. So if it wasn't for that warranty, that customer is completely shit out of luck. Fortunately, they had the warranty. The company went out of business. They bring in the next company that's qualified and have them do the repairs.
Yep, that makes sense. Makes sense. All right. We got some questions here, so we'll get to these. Um, Garth asks, "Who has the Amazon of roofing so far?" Um, we've actually kind of had this conversation before. I'll jump in on the first part. Roofing is not Amazon. Like you don't the Amazon business model is not the same as a roofing like a service business model. And so I think a lot of people like throwing around this idea of like, oh, become the Amazon of roofing. It's kind of like saying, that you're going to become the 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 Uber of like nail salons or something. I mean, it's just like it's a weird comparison. Um, I don't think it's something to really aim for. You obviously want to aim for like the best possible experience for a high ticket service. But I think that that's probably actually closer to like an Uber than it is to an Amazon. So I don't, what's your thoughts on that, Scott?
I agree 100%. I kind of tried it, right? Obviously a scale of this size. But we gave it a valid effort of making it a 100% digital online retail shopping experience. It did not go well. We missed a ton of opportunities because of it. I just truly thought it could be done. And sure, somebody could do it better than me. There's no doubt about that. But I'm here to tell you, we had a really good system in place that should have had some success, and it had very little. So, yeah, I mean, when you're hiring a service, a mechanic, a roofer, any kind of service, 90% of it is about the relationship. There's no relationship with an online buying experience. There's none. There's zero. Um, there's no heart behind it. There's no voice behind it. There's no nothing. It's just a material, right? It's materialistic. But a service is not materialistic. So you have to go make the relationship. Even if it's as little as a couple phone conversations and some text, that's still something. Um, Good luck selling, fully online. You'll find a few customers that like that. Like I've had some that don't want to conversate, they just want to do everything online, and that's fine. There are a few that will do that, but like I said, it's very, very slim amount of customers.
Yeah. The most successful roofing businesses are not doing that. They're not even trying to build the Amazon of roofing. It's not about eliminating the relationship. It's about scaling the relationship. What kind of automations and systems can you put in place so that one person can now maintain and have a relationship with 100 prospects or 500 prospects instead of maybe only like 30 or 50 the way you would if you're just doing everything manually. But you can't just take out the relationship. That's not the key. The key is finding ways to scale that relationship.
I agree.
So, yeah, I think that's a really key thing. It's like don't get there's I've seen it too. Like I've seen it from the like I see and talk to hundreds of roofing business owners, and have over the last couple of years. I've seen many that are trying that have really leaned into the trying to build the Amazon of roofing, and it just fails every time because you can't take the relationship out. But yeah, the big companies are scaling the relationship and doing it with automation, doing it with AI, um, doing it with good solid tech. All right. Thanks for the question, Garth. Scott was asking, can you guys hear me? Scott, this is a webinar, not a group call. But if you have questions, please put it into the chat or into that Q&A area. And so any question that you have regarding roofing or the roofing business, put it into the chat and we'll answer that. All right. Um, Let me get our next question queued up. And for anybody else that's joined us, this is Roofer to Roofer. Scott and I are here to answer your questions about the roofing business and help you work through whatever you're currently debating in your mind. Whatever topics you have, feel free to hit us with those, and we will tackle those with you. Um, Garrett asks, outside of door-to-door sales, what are the top three channels you guys would recommend to get salesmen qualified leads? It's a great question. Scott?
I think Google LSA, I've said this before, I think it's a no-brainer. Google LSA works off qualified leads. So what's great about it is, and now they've implemented, I believe, AI to help disqualify leads. So the way it works is a call comes in, excuse me, you've got your services selected that you offer. Say you don't offer roof repair, you only offer roof replacement, but somebody inquires with you about a roof repair and you tell them that, you don't offer that service, you do not have to pay for that lead. They will reimburse you that cost. If that customer calls in and says they want a roof replacement, you take the lead, you get charged. Fantastic. You just got a qualified lead. Um, the quantity of leads has definitely dropped in the past year or so from it. But it's an easy one. It takes a little bit to set up because you have to do a background check and stuff, but the software inside of it's super easy to set up. So like I run my own LSA account and I've had a lot of success with it. But um, that's a no-brainer. I think um, after that, I believe not necessarily door to door, but like we call it digital canvassing. So having your sales reps build their own personal brand. I see companies even go as far as these sales reps will be like um ProLine AJ Briley, right? Like so he's got a second sub account or even he took his personal page and changed his name to be part of the company he's with. And basically just, solidify the brand that I am with this brand. I believe in this company and then promote it on their personal page. I've got one guy that works for me that is just crushing it doing that. The amount of views and shares he gets on his personal Facebook page is like, to be honest, he doesn't hardly post and not get 50 shares. Like it is unbelievable. But he's just built a great community that follows his stuff and keeps up with his videos. And um,
Oh, did we lose you, Scott? I think we lost Scott. Oh, you
that's,
back?
yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, just cut out for a second.
but yeah, no, I was just saying, I think that the sales reps should put some effort into that. I think it's worth doing. That's my top two. You can come up with the third one.
Um, yeah, those are solid. I'm trying to think that I'm a little bit out of the loop on marketing. I'm trying to think what people have been talking about lately, or what I've heard through the grapevine. I always talk about, and I think you actually have some experience with this. Are you still working with Angie?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's the thing. Everyone likes to talk crap on Angie, and it is true. It's like a lot of the leads are crappy. But the I always just tell the story. It's like 8 out of 10 leads from Angie are bad if you're just responding to them whenever you're available. But if you set them up with speed to lead and ProLine, that usually flips to about 8 out of 10 being real leads. Because it's just a race. Like like they're sending the leads out to more than one person, but that's normal. Like when someone's out there looking for a roof, do you think they're only submitting it one form? No, they're going to submit a bunch of different forms, not just with Angie, but also directly to different websites and stuff. So it's not even about Angie like giving it to more than one contractor, even though they probably are. It's also about that homeowner is not restricted once they fill out the form on Angie. They're going to fill the form out on Angie, and then they're going to go fill 5 or 6 other forms out. So yeah, you're competing. It's a race against time. Um, and so yeah, like they're a big corporation, they got some shady practices, but it's like people know and trust Angie. Homeowners trust Angie. And so they're gonna fill out that form. And if you can set it up with automations to be sending them an email and text within seconds of Angie sending you that lead, then you're gonna get opportunities out of that. How has that been for you, Scott, since you've been working with them? I know it's been
It's
winter time.
still, yeah, and it's still winter time. I mean, we're getting a sniff of warm air today, yesterday, and tomorrow, but then it's going to be back in the 30s. Like February is usually our worst month, honestly. We had I would call it a abnormally cold December and January, and then February's been abnormally warm, but it's still winter. Like we're still in winter. So I wouldn't say that now I go and say that, and we did book one or two Angie lead appointments today. But I think it's because it's nice out. People are, starting to get the gears grinding about the outside of their home. Um, but yeah, no, it's been, I would call it okay at this point. I started it in December. We had the coldest December we've had as long as I can remember, and the most snowfall we've had in January as long as I can remember. So I can't really judge it too much yet, but I'd say it's been okay.
Yeah. So we'll see as it warms up how it
Another
goes
month or
for.
two, I think we'll be able to get some good projections on how it'll work. But I mean, so far we've gotten some qualified, solid leads. We've got a bunch of spam because I think that's what happens in the winter because they can't fulfill the quota of what they promised you. So you end up getting some spam to fill that quota. But I think like here recently, the ones we have gotten have been legit.
Yeah. That's good. I'm curious to see how that performs over time. Um, there are definitely fa other factors too. It's like how many other contractors, like if you're depending on, so that's the other thing is like if you're head to head with another contractor in your area that is also using speed to lead and you're both using speed to lead, well, you kind of negate each other's advantage a little bit. So then it goes down. So I think there's also those factors to consider as well. None of these things are tried and true. It's like, um, you just kind of figure out where are the opportunities in your market. So a lot of that is like, we can talk about this all day long, but like what works in your market, Scott, may or may not work in a different market and vice versa.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's
That's
testing.
the key. I actually had a call today. I was talking to a guy about that. And AJ, we used to do radio. It, FM radio works here because it's a bunch of old people. You can't think like a 30-year-old person. You got to think about your consumer. My consumers listen to the radio.
Yep.
Maybe if you live in Atlanta, Georgia, your consumers only listen to OTT. You know what I mean? Spotify, Apple Music, those things.
Yep.
Um, it's just different. You got to know your market and know who your customer is.
Yep. Scott is asking about Google LSA. So Google LSA is a specific advertising product that Google offers. LSA stands for local service ads, right? Local
Yes.
service ads? Yeah. And so it's when someone is searching for a service like roofing, it promotes your Google My Business, right? It like pulls your Google My Business up. I'm trying to remember.
Well,
I never
you'll
actually
link your Google
used
My
it.
Business to your LSA account.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice. John's jumping in too.
Look at this guy.
Oh, now we actually have two roofers. We actually have roofer to roofer.
I heard that.
Um, we're talking about Google LSA, lead sources. We're just talking about kind of top three lead sources. What do you think? Well, that's actually not true. I'm sorry. Let me correct myself. John is no longer a roofer.
Oh,
Yeah,
Scott.
that's
No, no. Once a roofer, always a roofer.
that's true. Yeah. Past, yeah, it is that is true. That is true. A graduated roofer.
There you go.
Um, post exit. But yeah, the we're just talking about lead sources. What do you think? Would you like number one lead source? We talked about uh Google LSA, um, sales rep social media, like social media, local social media presence, and um, wait, what did I just? Angie. Yeah, we're talking about Angie being not necessarily great, but like being one of the options. Like, is there anything else you'd add to that list, John?
Um, three best lead sources like open-ended. I
Just
would,
add a option to that list. What's a lead source you'd recommend right now?
I mean, referrals. I like Brad Acres' program. I like the wheel. I think I started tracking it the last 6 months and I was like, oh, the referrals. We just never had a lot of success, but I wasn't tracking the accuracy of it and like the really tracking people who said it was Google or whatever other lead source, and at the end of the day we're like, oh yeah, just to let you know, you finished my roof, and my neighbor referred you. So
One we're leaving off, the big one that I know John and I both had a ton of success with is Roof Quote Pro.
yeah,
That
that's
is a lead
massive.
source. And I was talking with a couple guys right before we got on this. I think I looked the other day. It's our number four lead source. And referrals is one, Google's two. What was three?
Trucks,
Three was
trucks.
canvassing slash digital presence, like digital canvassing, door knocking was and then four was our website slash Roof Quote Pro.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say also we saw a crazy increase of people using the tool twice or using it at different parts of the sales process. It was pretty wild. Like they would use it, we do the inspection, they would do it again. I was like, okay. because they just like customers like to, and it was always at night, so they like to like double check our work or something. It was a lot of people did that, a lot.
And then you take that tool, you put ProLine's got an embedded web form that you can put in a text message. So you link it to ProLine, they fill out the form, they go straight to Speed Lead. ProLine sends them a Speed Lead, says, "Hey, thanks for filling out our Roof Quote Pro form and getting your instant estimate. Here's a link to book an appointment so we can do an inspection to see if you're actually qualified for a new roof." So you want the Amazon experience. That's as close as you get, and then you build a relationship after that.
Yeah. I think just branding is hard, but just having the word Rain Stoppers Roofing in as many visual cues as possible. Because I told the story before where Clay and we had a great process. I was inside sales for him doing outside sales, and the guy rejected. Clay and I happened to be in the car together, and the guy calls me as inside sales rep. I was riding in the car. He signed the contract, ready to go, and he immediately called Clay. Hey, I went with somebody else, and it just shows you that like the attention span of like customers is so slow. It's so little. Like they don't. It wasn't the first time that happened. That was the most extreme case. But the fact that like we said our company name a million times, both of us did, and it was the same template. It was pretty wild that that happened.
Yeah.
Um, but that's why you have to automate your communication and increase the quantity in the cadence of it.
Way more than you think you do.
Yep. You're not annoying people. That's the biggest thing is like, oh, I'm going to annoy people. They're going to be mad. Okay, if they're mad, they're probably not a good fit. But like people have a problem. I always said this. Guys, they have a problem. It's roofing. You have a solution. They need your solution. Do not be scared about giving them a solution or blowing their phone up. They want to fix the problem yesterday. So more text messages and emails is not going to make them upset. They're going to be like, oh, this person's actually on top of it.
Yep. All right. Let's we got another question here from Garrett. Before we move on to that, for everybody else that's joined, I think we've gotten a few new people. So this is Roofer to Roofer, and we're actually joined today by John as well as Scott. And if you guys have any questions about the roofing business, anything you're struggling with right now, anything you're curious about, just want another perspective on, please put those down in the Q&A at the bottom of Zoom or into the chat, and we'll address those. And we have some questions here that we'll get to. So, question from Garrett. If you, for referrals, how much commission relative to the whole cost of the job would you recommend to give, if any? Scott?
I'll tell you the way I look at it is I paid for the first one. If it's a referral, a true referral, right? Like it came in through SEO, like a true Google lead. Um, they did the job, and then that customer told their son. We have one today. Funny enough, we're doing the dad, and the son needs a roof also. We're going to go bid the son's job. Um, that is a referral that the business generated, not the sales rep, right? I paid for the first one. This helps me getting that referral keeps my cost of acquisition down. So I expect to get referrals. Like that's not a bonus. Like that is part of our structure. I fully expect us to get referrals 100%. If my guys go generate their own lead, then I up their commission in certain situations. So for instance, like and I'm not going to give the problem is I have to like three different structures that I do for different sales reps. But if you're paying a guy 7% commission, right? Full retail, he gets 7% of anything he sells. If he's out working leads and knocking doors and doing all these things, and he generates his own lead and turns it into a job, I think he should get 10%. So I do think it warrants paying that sales rep an additional commission for generating his own leads and referrals. But if it's a referral from a job I got him to, I'm not paying additional. I expect to get that. I need to get that job to keep my acquisition costs low.
John, you have any thoughts
Same
on that?
page. Yeah, same page. We tried lots of things. We also tried paying out homeowners. That is a disaster. I mean, like we did this multiple different times over 10 years. Different like promo things and like it's always like a weird experience because then you become not like the same relationship as like I just appreciate you. This one like army captain, we did his roof, great. He referred 5 people, so we were paying $500. We just make it a straight number. Yeah, we got the roofs, but like these roofs were like 18 square, and we made money on all the roofs, but it just made it super weird. He was like hounding us. I know that this guy signed the contract. I'm like, well, he hasn't paid us yet. Like it was a terrible experience because it's like it's very clear we pay you at the end of when we get paid finally. And I don't know. As far as sales reps getting commission for it, I think that that's true. I think that um, you should pay a little bit more if it's like it's directly coming from the sales rep, self-generated. But at the end of the day, man, like if you're promoting somebody building their personal brand in a community on Facebook or in just in real life, they're going to BNI groups, you're paying for them to do all that stuff, even though it's their time. You're the one. They're like, oh, you're the roofing guy. Well, yeah, because you're wearing my polo and my truck, and I'm if you're doing those things, if you're investing in your sales reps, if you're not, if you're giving them a polo shirt and drive your own truck, that's not the same thing. But if you're branding hard, it's a different conversation in my mind. Even though that's their purpose. Brad really instilled this in me with the flywheel. Their sales rep's job is not to just do a funnel. It is to generate referrals. Like they are supposed to do that. Just to your point, Scott, like you got them to the first one. They're supposed to get more. That's the point. That is their job. It is not just to receive leads every day. It is to generate more business.
John, I would even add one last thing to that too. Like a guy taught me recently a method called the 6-12-24 method. And so at the point of inspection, part of the sales process is to knock the 6 neighbors.
Yep.
So the 6 direct, 4 across the street, one on each side, whatever, the 6 direct neighbors during the install, you expand that to the 12 direct neighbors, and then post install the 24 direct neighbors.
Hmm.
So my point to that is like, again, that is part, we actually, as of a month ago, that became part of our sales process. That's not the sales rep generating his own lead for me. That's
Yeah.
part of our sales process that I expect you to do during the install, during whatever. I'm not paying extra for that. Now you don't have any appointments scheduled today and you go down Front Street to just try to drum something up, absolutely I'll pay you extra for that. But if you're just following the process and doing what you're supposed to do, that's where I'm not necessarily going to pay additional. I'm just going to pay you the commission that you're owed for selling the job and taking the responsibility.
Yeah, I like it. I like that. I mean, because you invested in not just physical things, door hangers, stuff like that. You invested in a process that generates positive results for the sales rep, and
Yep.
you're giving them instruction and education on that. I mean, you're going to generate more business, more commission because of those processes that you have.
I got a little distracted here, so maybe you guys already covered this, but it seems like you're mostly talking about the commission for the sales rep, correct? Like you're talking
Yeah,
about whether or not to give the sales rep extra commission
mainly.
on a
I
referral.
I mentioned other homeowners and it being a disaster, but yes, mainly sales reps.
So, what do you guys think about paying some sort of a commission or a reward to the person making the referral? So like the homeowner or the say it's a real estate agent or something like that. Do you guys put together like $500 or $250 or something like that?
I've done all that. Done all that. The insurance agents can't take your money. That's illegal.
Okay.
Realtors in some states cannot take your money either. Um,
And it's probably shady regardless. A little shady
yeah, I mean
regardless. Yeah.
it's not necessarily shady, but also if you're I think it's not the 80-20 rule with those two groups. I think it's like the 5-95. There's 5% of good eggs in those baskets of realtors and insurance agents, and they crushed it for us. They don't care about your $500. They want to their client, they want themselves to look good.
Yeah.
That's valuable to them. It's like make me look good on the sale, make me look good as my, insurance client.
Yeah.
Those are the types of people you want to have your centers of influences that are referring you. You want those people, not people trying to make money referring like being a sales rep essentially. There's people that do that all the time. It can work, but it's not building long-term relationships. It's just a transactional thing when you have that.
Yeah.
I think if you do the right thing, I've got a living example of it today. Kelton called me and said, "Hey, you remember that big black standing seam job I told you I was going to?" I was like, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I went to it today, and it's a new standing seam install, but it was a bad install, and the guy won't come back and fix it." This guy called four different contractors. We're the only ones to show up. We gave him a solution, gave him a price, did what we're supposed to do. Like we didn't do anything fancy. We just did what we're supposed to do as a good roofing contractor. And when it got done, he said, "Kelton, do you have a stack of business cards with you?" Come to find out, the guy's um, a higher up guy in the city. I'll just say that for that town. So he's got a lot of relationships, a lot of contacts. And so he said, "I'll make sure to hand these business cards out down at the city." If you just do what you're supposed to do, people are happy to refer you anyway. Like you don't need to pay for it if you do the right thing. It's just going to cause confusion and headache. That's
Yeah.
all we found. Same as John. We had one person that like yeah, it was a nightmare. It was a $200 referral, and this lady called us like twice a day, every day until the check showed up in the mail. I said, "Look, my accountant writes checks on Wednesdays every week. You told me on Thursday. So now it's going to be about 2 weeks before you receive the check." Sure enough, that woman called twice a day, every day, telling me that her check hadn't showed up. And I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, also, guess what? Those people will not write a 5-star review for you. They're just
No.
using you, and like it's just a terrible if you're trying to build a brand in a community, like you're not super corporate, you don't want those people in your orbit. You want them out of your orbit. You want good people who want you to succeed and you want to do right by them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. The Yeah, I like the kind of the mindset of like you're building the environment that creates the value automatically when someone makes the referral because they get to look good by making that referral. That's how you create the value because that's what they want. They want to look good to their friends because they helped out their friend or helped out their colleague. And so be that entity that they can refer to and look good. That's the value that they want, not $500 or 250 or whatever. Yeah. Um, all right. I think that answers that question. We have a question here from Garth. What AI are you guys using in your businesses? Um, I can speak to what we have in just inside of ProLine right now, and then if you guys want to expound on that at all, just inside ProLine right now, we have AI-driven timing for sales follow-up. So the sales follow-up automations for text messages and emails after a quote is sent. It can be used in other contexts as well, but usually it's around sales follow-up. ProLine looks at what time of optimizes for what time of day each contact is most likely to respond based on their past patterns. So past times that they've responded or hopped on calls or opened emails. And we're looking at all that data, analyzing it, and the AI is saying 2 p.m. in the afternoon is the best time to contact this person. And then that's when we're sending those automations. We're going to be building more AI into ProLine around automating communication, like sending more rich email automations and text message automations. We're going to be adding some AI chat features eventually as well. So there's lots of stuff that we want to do with AI. It's not an immediate priority. There's just other things that are more pressing, but it is things we're going to be building in long term to ProLine. Um, Scott, is there anything that you guys are using beyond ProLine right now?
So we the only AI I use is ChatGPT, and I use it just to help me customize things. So for instance, like in ProLine, the campaigns, I can't remember what campaign it was, but I recently did one. It might have even been a redoing my sales follow-up one. I can't remember. But regardless, I just went to ChatGPT, said, oh no, it wasn't that. It was I think it was a review follow-up. Anyway, I changed it to basically say, create me a 20-step text and email communication campaign to get 5-star reviews for Google from a roofing contractor to a customer or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? I typed it out. And that thing spit me out exactly this long list of fantastic messages that I plugged. I edited them a little bit to fit us and threw some grammatical errors in like I like to and published it. So, but yeah, that's really all I use it for, just to take some of that tedious type stuff off my plate.
John,
I
anything
make
else going
I
on?
use ChatGPT to make myself sound smarter than I am. I
I
will
haven't got
say,
ahead.
Alivo, whatever they're called, freaking Max. I've seen him at a couple different events. That's very intriguing. So ALIVO, I think it's a good, I don't know, roadmap integration with ProLine necessarily, but it's pretty cool. If you like, it's the front end, kind of the front end of the funnel, really effective. I need to do a demo. I may see them again soon. But they like you go to their booth and like you put the headphones on and you watch the screen talk. It's pretty sweet. Um, yeah,
We
I think
do.
that's the future of a lot of like after hours calling. It's just in the next 6 months, it's going to get wild. It's going to get really, really good.
Yeah.
That's just a first thought about AI in general.
We we are yeah, I'd like to have more robust integrations with stuff like Allevio, I think is what it is. Um and other providers like that because I think there is a lot of future there with the AI voice for inbound calling. I think people are going to get used to calls being answered by an AI agent. Um I think there's also I think people could get used to that. They're still going to want there to be a human that then follows up and
Hmm.
does the inspection because you can't have, until we have fully autonomous robots. I think that I will say this, going back to that question, Amazon of roofing. I think that the closest we'll ever get to like Amazon of roofing is I think at some point in the maybe not so distant future, I'd say in the next 100 years, probably less than 100 years, maybe more like next 50 years. We will have autonomous robots that are agile enough combined with AI that is smart enough that you can send a robot out to do a roof inspection. They can climb up a ladder, they can take photos, they can navigate a roof, they can have, well, so you drone, yeah, yeah, yeah. So that,
Yeah,
I mean,
drones
you could
already do it.
also,
They have those stations, those like charging like regional stations. The the optics are good, like as far as the technology to detect storm damage, if we're talking about insurance, they're already. I mean, we have it right now to do that.
But you can't have a relationship with a drone.
Nope.
That's where I think that's where it's going to get interesting is I think that at some point, this is not now. I don't think it's in the next 10 years. I don't think it's even in the next 20 years. But I do think that there will become a point where people I think that technology is bringing like the Star Wars droids into existence where people will actually feel like they can have a relationship with a robot. And they can have a robot show up at the house that has a personality that can talk to them. Maybe it has a backpack drone that takes off and actually does the roof inspection, but the robot actually can sit there and talk to the homeowner and communicate to the homeowner, gather information, crack a few jokes. And I think that's really crazy. And I don't think in the next 10 or 20 years that's going to be accepted. But maybe in the next 30, 40, 50 years, I could see that getting some traction, depending on the price point too. I think that's the other factor, because like it'd have to be cheaper to do the robot within like a 12 to probably 24-month period than it is to just hire a sales rep to do it on commission or hourly. So I don't know. Scott, do you have thoughts on that?
I think robotic installs will come in the next 10 to 15.
You think so?
I mean, there's already technology to do it. It's just not great yet, but
Cost effective.
I don't think it's that far away.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
The
It might
roofing
be so
material may
expensive that
change.
it doesn't make sense, but
Well, I think it's
yeah.
going to be like specifically around the detail areas, the flashing and valleys and stuff like that. I think they're going to come up with different material that's going to let the robots be able to install and dry it in easier. Um, I don't know what that looks like, but I think it's going to be some sort of rollout, something that rolls with shingles that appears like, traditional asphalt shingles. But drones will be able to do perfectly good. I mean, flashing, I don't know how they're going to do flashing. It's so
Yeah.
different on every, you can have 10 houses in the same row and all the flashing's different.
You have to have you really have to have very highly precise agile robotics. And they're working on some pretty crazy stuff, I think. Because it's just not like you can't just sort of have standardized machinery. It has to be AI driven and you have to have like, very precise, something comparable to the human body. Um, we have a few questions here. Let's get to these real quick. So Nicholas, you're asked, does ProLine integrate with Quick Measure? Yes, we have a integration with Quick Measure. You can order Quick Measures through ProLine. They pop back multi-structure, so you get to use our multi-structure functionality. We're the only platform that offers multi-structure quoting, and that works with Quick Measure. And then you can use that data in to generate estimates within seconds. Um, Garth says, please tell people Amazon of roofing isn't going to happen because I'm working on it. Best of luck. You will be one of many that I've seen that is trying to do it. I wish you all the luck. Maybe the timing is perfect now. Um, I love I mean, obviously, ProLine's very heavy on automation. I love the concept of automating as much of as you can. I just think, and this is the way we've approached everything with ProLine, the automation should always be around the context of how do we scale the human relationship. At least when it comes to services, it's different in products. But when it comes to services, how do we scale? How do we take a person and allow them to have a relationship with 100 people instead of 10 in the same amount of time and for the same amount of effort. And so that's the way that we approach automation. Um, so, but yeah, best of luck. Um, all right. So if anybody else has questions, we'd love to answer those. We're here to help. Mark asks, does ProLine pull measurements from any other programs? ProLine, we have a bunch of measurement integrations. Got Hover, Eagle View, Quick Measure, Roof Scope. Um, we have CSV, so anything that can spit out a CSV of measurements can also be imported in. Um, yeah, all of that can get brought into ProLine, and we're adding other measurement integrations over time as well. So there'll be other measurement providers that get added over time. But those cover most people's needs. Roofer will never have an integration with because they're a competitor. So if you can get them to shut down their CRM, then yeah, we'll have an integration with their measurements. But I don't think they're going to do that. But they do have a CSV. Um, and I mean I think you know the shout out to them. They have a great measurement product, and the price is nice on it. So you can. I know a lot of our users like to use Roofer for measurements, and they'll export the CSVs and they'll import that to our platform. And so that's one way to do it without having to manually copy it in. Though you can also do that. Um, what was the other thing on measurements I was going to say? Yeah, you can also just hand measure and type those measurements into ProLine. We'll probably be adding other measurement options as well. We'd like to add like a draw option inside of ProLine. So those are all ideas that are on the idea board that are going to probably come at some point. Nicholas asks, "Do you integrate with Calendly?" You can integrate with Calendly via Zapier if you want to, but there's not really a reason to because we have a full booking page functionality built into ProLine that is the same as Calendly for roofers. So with Calendly, like you're generally going to use a fraction of its functionality. We use Calendly for ProLine because we're a software company and we need all the power that Calendly offers. But for a roofing contractor, you're just really scheduling inspections and you just need it to get distributed across your sales team based on location. And so we have booking pages. You can embed them, you can share a link to them. It has the ability to choose the date and the time, just like with Calendly, and it just books right on your calendar. It syncs to Google Calendar, pulls availability. Everything that you're probably getting with Calendly is already built into our platform. So you can just get rid of your Calendly subscription entirely if you're
Okay.
with ProLine.
Yeah, I was using Calendly for forever, like almost 10 years, and I was super excited whenever that feature got added to ProLine because it saved me, I don't know, 100 bucks a month or something like that, 120 bucks a month.
Yeah. Um, and then the other question here, do call transcripts go right into the contact profile? We have all like you can turn this on and off, but um, most people have calls recorded in ProLine. So all the calls in and out get recorded, and then all that gets automatically logged on the project, the associated project, and or contact activity. So you have complete history of communication, both calls and then also the text messages and the emails all logged on the project, so you never have to worry about communication getting swept under the rug. All right. Thanks for all these questions, guys. This is great. So we actually have 5 more minutes. Nicholas asked, "Can you use Blue tech messages for text?" No, no online numbers support Blue messages for text. There are some providers out there that can offer Blue messages for text for a very, very expensive price. It's
Yep.
because they're hacking iPhones in order to do it. And so those companies, you'll notice all they do is blue text messages because it's an extremely expensive, difficult thing to do. We do a lot more than just text messaging, and so we're not never going to go down that route. Now that being said, John and I have actually ran tests. When we started doing this, we ran tests, blue messages versus green messages. And when it comes to selling roofs, green text messages will perform as well or better. Might not feel like it because I mean, obviously, if you're making friends or you're networking, you probably want blue text messages. But when it comes to buying a roof, it's gonna probably scare people off if you're blue text messaging them because they're like, "Oh, this contractor's bougie. Like this guy's probably gonna charge me too much." Like people are looking for value. Even premium customers are looking for good value, and so it's not really gonna be a disadvantage. In fact, in many cases, and depending on your market, it might actually be an advantage. Anything to add to that, John?
Oh yeah. So Austin, I can't remember his name. B with sales flow. No, no, something else. Anyway, he's awesome. He told me about blue text, and I was like, what? They do what? They have a whole, so these companies, at least the one he was talking about, they have a whole wall of iPhones. So they just connect them all and they're spoofing, what's it called? Spoofing these.
Spoofing, yeah.
It's so sketchy. It's like what you see in a movie. Like that's how they're doing it now. They're basically forwarding it through those iPhones to make them blue. And like practically speaking, how many thousands of iPhones can you have? Like, can they support that forever? No, it's a terrible, terrible.
It's not
Don't,
sustainable.
yeah, don't get on that train.
I mean, if you really want blue text messages and it's something that's that important to you, great. Go work with one of those companies. It won't integrate back into your CRM, at least not if you're with ProLine. I mean, I guess they have integrations with some of the other CRMs, but it's not gonna, you're not gonna be able to automate stuff through it like you can. You're just gonna miss out on a lot of nice functionality that's just built in the way we have it in ProLine.
Yep.
So, and just so you can feel like your text messages are a little fancier. At the end of the day, it's about selling jobs, not being fancy. All right. Uh, I think we should just wrap it up there because we're getting close. Maybe got one more question. Let me see if anybody else. No, not in the Q&A. Anything else that anything else that anyone has to ask?
I
Scott,
just
John, anyone
want to
throw in?
mention, John, you look 10 years younger without your gray beard. You look sharp.
I know. I look, I look, my kids love it. My middle son loves it because he thought I was gonna die because I had gray beard hair. I was like, dude. He goes, I'm so glad you shaved it. Now you're not gonna die. I'm like, I'm still the same age.
All right, we got one last question. This will be our last question. Nicholas asked, "Can you send email campaigns through ProLine?" Well, yes and no. You mean you could send automated emails through ProLine. So, if you're talking about one-to-one automation, so like sending campaigns of email sales follow-up alongside text message sales follow-up, yes, you can automate that one-to-one communication between a sales rep and a prospect, and you can do that across any number of prospects. If you're talking about sending like email marketing, like blasts where you're sending out like, hey, 10% off this month and you're sending it out to your entire list. That's not where we don't have a feature for that in ProLine currently. We will in the future, but in the meantime, we recommend using something like MailChimp for that or Constant Contact. Those platforms are designed for that. And ProLine's just not designed for that. We're designed for sales and process automation and the experience, like the individual customer experience, not automating out like blasts of one to many communication. But we'd love to have that feature in the future. So, all right, so we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for joining Scott and John, special guest, and we'll see everybody next week.
Yes.
Bye, everybody.